Welcome to CCRPG, where we open up our virtual table and play games with some good friends. I'm Bob, and I'll be running Lancer, an RPG by Miguel Lopez and Tom Parkinson-Morgan. You can find it on itch.io. The pilots have returned from their final trial. Astro and Steve responded to the Council's insistence on a meeting, while Evelene and Dyne stayed aboard the DBC. Contest is over. Their results in the final trial have been invalidated, and the Dire Scholars have been found dead. The Murder of Crows were the last ones to contact them. The Rebirth Council project wants answers. Welcome back, pilots.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hi.
Now,
So we're not guilty.
oh, okay. Well, let me rewrite the intro then. Obviously, you guys aren't guilty. So
You really framed us that way. I'm just saying.
How could I possibly,
I know a guy who can defend us. His name is Phoenix Wright. He will definitely prevent us from being found guilty.
The entire council just starts apologizing. Sorry, we have the wrong people. Oh, dude, please take our apologies.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It happens to everyone.
Grind definitely leads that apology, right?
All right. So, like I said, it is Astro and Steve who are in the council room chambers. You have just been given some information. That information is that the assembled council members have informed you that not just the assembled council members, very specifically Ethic basically said at the end, let's stop dancing around this. The reason we're here is that the Dire Scholars have been found dead, and the last recorded communication they've had with anyone came from your ship. And that's kind of where we left things hanging. So why don't we just pick up right there? Do either of you have a response to this?
I'll look at Steve.
Well, what do you mean they were found dead? Like you found their bodies? They're dead? Dead?
Yes.
You just haven't lost them? What?
At this, it is... I didn't have all their descriptions pulled up. As you continue to ask this, Nosla speaks up and goes, yes, they were found dead after we went to investigate their ship when they never turned up to their trial.
We contacted them right before our trial just to wish them good luck, but we never received a response from them. It was just like an open connection, but dead air.
You called to wish them good luck, and you were buddy-buddy with these competitors? People who were striving towards getting the same contract you are?
Look, there's no reason we have to be on bad terms with the other teams just because we're competing with each other.
Astro, I think I'm the only one that's had any contact with them at all. And yeah, we had friendly relations, so to speak. There was no animosity, and frankly, you set us up in such a way that we're supposed to get around your trials in the most creative way possible. Yeah, I was trying to get some sort of working relationship with them that we might work together to get through either this or upcoming trials.
This appeals to Nosla's sensibilities. I want you to make a pilot check.
Yes, I do those things. I make pilot checks. Get
somewhere quickly. He runs out of the room.
Hold on, I gotta check my list. I got a skill trigger called Read a Situation. I'm going to say that I was trying to read what they wanted to hear. It's the truth, but I was trying to read them to say what they want.
Appeal to their sensibilities.
I want to see, look for subtext, motives, or threats in a situation or person. I'm going to let you read a situation. What you get from it might not necessarily just be swaying her. It might be information rather than an effect on her based on the way the skill is written.
That's fine. Other than that, it'd probably be a flat roll, so I'll roll that.
No, read a situation, see what's going on here.
All right. No accuracy or changes in it at all?
No.
Okay. I have rolled a 15.
15 is a success. Steve, you look, and what you've said seems to you get a sense that you've kind of given her what she's looking for. Like I said, this Rita situation isn't for making what you said better in any way, but you did sense its effect on her. And you get a sense that even though they're kind of in a roundabout way accusing you of murder, you don't think that's at least what Nosla is looking for out of this conversation. Something is going on here you don't quite understand, is what you get from a success on that roll.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. After that, one of the other council members will speak up. And where's my notes? There we go. Opie will say, listen, this is important for a reason. They were killed just before their mission. And the platform they were going to go and do their trial against also got ambushed by rebels.
Like ours did.
The platform defenses were expecting a simulated fight. And when rebels showed up with live ammo, they destroyed the entire platform with no retaliation. Someone stopped the Dire Scholars from going on their mission, and no one was there to help when the platform was destroyed.
Well, I don't see why we would do that and then go to our platform and then fight off those rebels that were trying to destroy our platform. Doesn't make any sense.
Grime actually will speak up, not talking to you guys at all, turning to the other four and goes, hey, weren't their platform destroyed during their practice as well?
If they don't say anything for a few seconds, I'll chime in with partially destroyed. We did fend off the attackers, although I am assuming with the communication blocks that we have, you also weren't getting information at that time.
They kind of exchange a glance with each other, and Nosla will speak up again and be like, as far as we're aware, we lost contact with your platform, and by the time it was restored, it was destroyed, and you were all that was left.
What about the insurgents you had we were supposed to be sparring with? They left. We got them out.
Ethic will go, we did get some first-hand reports, but they don't... Well, she looks down at a piece of paper in front of them, in front of her, and says, according to first-hand reports, during the initial bombing run of the insurgents, none of the murder of crows was harmed during the bombing run. And in fact, they report that Operative Redbird activated their lethal weaponry before the dissidents arrived.
Redbird.
Dyne.
Me.
You
You could Dyne wouldn't have cared if you had told them about Artemis having basically predicted this to some extent because of her research. It's a little bit metagaming, but Dyne would have allowed you guys to say it.
Yeah, I'll say. Sorry, 1 second. What are they called? NHPs?
Yeah.
I want to use the right name instead of AI. Yes, Redbird's NHP was actually predicting something was going wrong for a long time. We thought she was malfunctioning. She tried to warn us that there is a threat, and therefore was the only one prepared when the attackers launched their attack. Surely
Nosla will look at you while you're saying this and be like, "You're telling me you believe you have an NHP that could have predicted this attack and prepare for it before you had any warning?"
we thought she was malfunctioning.
Just a reminder for you, Astro. The reason that we thought she was malfunctioning is that she was making connections that most NHPs would not make.
Right.
That's why we didn't trust it at first.
Her reasonings weren't entirely supported empirically by the data. It was almost like she was going off of a hunch.
It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, we have a hard time understanding it. Kind of like you all seem to have a hard time understanding why rebels have technologies that you don't get. I'll just kind of stare at them.
There is a unspoken acceptance of your words. It is like a silent acknowledgement of like, okay, and
surely your security team that came back reported that we were actively engaging with these attackers.
It's probably the only reason we're not in a brig right now.
Ethic will bring up, they did report, she looks back down at the same report that she has, that there was some scuffling, an unknown source of animosity, but the ones that escaped were not from that platform. They were reinforcements we had sent to make your challenge more difficult. In the case of emergency, their standing orders are, if the platform seems lost, to escape and get information to those who need it. So they left as soon as things broke out and don't have much more to tell us past the initial few things we seem to agree on happened. But the matter remains, I'm looking at a report that says by the end of it, the entire platform was gone, and you all seem remarkably well off.
I'm happy to share our combat data from our mechs.
Yeah, so at this, Obi will like, I'm glad you're willing to hand that over willingly. That is something we were going to ask you for.
Well, we have nothing to hide, as we did our best to defend the platform and your interests. And I don't appreciate now the implications of what you're accusing us of.
The platform was damaged, to be sure, but you keep saying it's not there. Isn't it?
Destroyed, mostly, Ethic says almost apologetically. Sure, the structure is there, but the blanket bombing they did has rendered it basically scrap. It would actually be more proficient for us to haul that out of there and scrap it and replace it, and then to repair it at this point.
I'll kind of cross my arms a little bit and look at, what were you Big Bird, I think?
Yeah.
I'll look at Big Bird and go, what were we even fighting for if we didn't even defend the thing?
Grime, like, looks at the rest of the people in here and, like, looks back at you and then, again, doesn't address you, turns back to the rest of the people, is like, come on, we're not gonna let them feed this, right? Like, this is suspicious as all hell. They kind of heed him a little bit, and then he continues, listen, we had a few people that were all fucked with by these rebels, and, we got, some people who survived the interference and some people who didn't survive the interference. these people were the most suspicious of all of them. If someone fucked things up, it's probably these guys.
As I said, I'm happy to hand over our combat data. We have nothing to hide. We put our lives on the line for you, and now we're being accused of being saboteurs. This is something I don't take kindly to.
Grimes says, listen, I think they're suspicious. At the very least, why don't we do a more thorough background check? Their stuff came over us shiny and clean. Maybe we need to look into them more.
I wonder if we're the only one that needs a background check here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Some of the people heard you. I don't think everyone in the room heard you say that, but you see Nosla, like a corner of her smile, like a little, like corner of her lips smile a little bit. And then you can see Effic kind of like acknowledge you warmly while everyone else is turned to look at Grime, right? Doc Grosser will speak up for the first time and say, you know, if you have this advanced technology that can detect insurgents before they arrive, perhaps we should take a look at it. It could be invaluable in protecting our assets.
Well, you would have to speak with Redbird, who designed this NHP. And as I understand, Artemis can be quite temperamental.
Grime will continue to the rest of the group as if he's still arguing for the same thing. He's like, look, even if the platform stuff seems okay and we get the recording stuff, what about the dead guys we got? That was a whole team that was doing real good. It seems like these guys offed them.
Can I ask you a question? How do you expect that we did that? We didn't have time.
Yes, I was just going to say, how could we have wiped out an entire team and then still make it to our platform in time for our trial? With
Grime,
no
like,
damage,
smirks.
I would say. By the
Grime
way.
smirks and kind of like leans back in his chair a little bit. Is like, well, all the trials weren't at the same time, don't you know?
No, we don't.
Well, they didn't die in no mech fight. They were all found with gunshot holes and throat slit on their ship.
Well, okay, so that's even more improbable. You expect we boarded them on their ship and then made it to our trial?
He like shrugs at you and goes, I think that you use the flag of friendship to get on board their ship, and then he dramatically draws his hand across his throat, got rid of the competition.
And then decided to implicate ourselves by sending them a message after we killed them.
I nod at that. Can't you see this is a bit of a stretch?
He looks back at the rest of the counselors like, I don't know, guys. Seems pretty suspicious to me.
Listen, we'll be happy to cooperate with your investigation, but I urge the council here not to jump to conclusions before considering all the possibilities.
I thought we came here for a job, Big Bird. Someone that could employ us, that was looking for assets. They're trying to drive away one of their best assets in this entire time by baseless accusations.
What's your code name?
Little Bird.
Little Bird. Little Bird, I have to agree. I'm starting to think this entire contest is just a waste of our time.
If they
Opie will lean forward, the very intimidating larger guy, and just put his arms on the table and goes, there will be more at stake than a job if we were to decide there was fault here. But let's not rush to any conclusions, eh?
Well,
He looks at you two and says, do you have any information on how something like this could have happened? You were among the teams with them. In order for these rebels to coordinate attacks with when the trials were supposed to be, catch them unawares, and destroy our company assets, they needed to be tipped off by someone who had knowledge of these things. What do you propose happened?
I propose that there's more suspicion on your end then, because your team very pointedly has not given us any information about the trials beforehand.
It's not unreasonable to assume one of the mech pilots in this contest could have gotten information somehow for it. I think that you're right that any one of the mech pilots here could have been responsible for it had they found information about these trials ahead of time. Other than that, you also should be looking inward. Anyone who knew about the trials is possibly a traitor in your own midst.
Occam's razor. You have to pursue the simplest solution. Instead of trying to uncover a grand conspiracy where we somehow improbably found out about the trial, all the details, was able to communicate that to the rebels, offed another team by boarding their ship and murdering them, and then reporting to our trial on time, maybe there's a mole within your own group.
Not mentioning any names or pointing any fingers, but anyone susceptible to bribery or any kind of money laundering could possibly be at fault here. They'd have much to gain from working with rebels, monetarily speaking.
And I imagine they would be the most vocal about pointing the blame elsewhere, as I look at Grime.
COMET, go ahead and make a pilot check, and I'm going to give you accuracy based on Steve's contribution to that accusation as well. Between the two of you, you will get to roll with accuracy.
Can I do charm, convince a receptive audience, or use leverage, money, power, personal benefit to get your way?
Dude, you're using leverage. This is what's happening. Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Charm with accuracy.
Oh man, that's not great with accuracy 11.
It's a success, though.
It is a success.
That is a success, yeah.
I'm glad you had the accuracy. You needed it.
Yeah.
They all kind of like, you can see everyone except for Grime, like, kind of like soften a little bit. They don't look as severe as they did, at the least when you first entered the room. Grime looks like he's internally boiling. His face is turning red, is what you will see.
Yeah.
That was worth it right there. I don't need any other benefit.
Yeah.
God, I wish I was there.
Losamar, who has been in the room the whole time, just silent, will speak up and go, it is important to bring up the fact that most of the interference happened after I forwarded information on to teams. It was after the council was made aware and then teams were made aware. I don't know if that helps, but none of these seemed to happen before our information started getting handed out.
That's a good point, but I remind you that a coordinated attack like this had to take some planning. And it probably was planned in such a way that the blame could be passed off to one of the contest teams. It's not something you improvise.
Unless you're really, really good.
Nosla will lean forward a little bit and go, I will say it's interesting that the people who were directly targeted by this interference were all people who were in contention for your slot. The teams that were not near you in points weren't targeted.
There are other teams targeted outside of the Dire Scholars?
Share Seal and Uncanny Ravine also presented evidence of sabotage against them, but they both did exceptionally well during their final trials, so their scores were, well, rung incorrectly, cementing them in the top 3, and they have already been hired. Uncanny Ravine, in fact, presented us a dead body of who they claimed was a rebel assassin.
Okay, so not us then.
Why would that present not you? If
Because
we're
it was a
insinuating you're
rebel.
working with these rebels, they could have been working with you to ensure that you get closer to our operations, to continue providing them information.
How would we even communicate with the rebels? Don't you monitor communications from the station?
At this, Ethic will say, well, there was the matter of the coded transmission that made its way to the hangar where we had all of the pilots in during the beginning weeks of contest. We were never able to determine which ship was being communicated with directly.
What was that coded transmission she's talking about again?
You all, well, specifically, Jessica told you guys that she picked up a coded transmission had come into the hangar complex that all of your ships were parked in, but she was unable at the time to determine who was the recipient of that message, just that one had come into the area.
Okay.
It was she was unable to, with her skill level, intercept it.
Weren't we able to use the fact that that message happened to trick one of the teams and lower their score?
Yeah.
That's right.
It was that along with the televised broadcast of like that one rebel group, that one rebel cell getting out their message and then getting killed mid-message. That also went out. So Ethic will look at you all, kind of apologetically and go, so there is evidence of them using, honestly, quite advanced coded transmissions. And after you communicated with another team that got attacked and killed, it did bring some interest in your group. None of the other teams had something so blatantly suspicious that happened to them. Obviously, you have refuted this charge and had given notable reasons why this could have happened, but this is why we're having this conversation right now.
I understand, and that's why we'll be happy to cooperate with your investigation. But I don't think there's anything more we have to say. We can hand over the combat data, and you can see that we were actively engaged with the rebel attackers and defended the platform to the best of our ability, even after your own station guards fled the scene.
They have technology you guys don't understand. We call it the claustrosity. I assume it's some sort of platform building robot, was taken over by them.
At this, Doc will speak up and go, oh, yes, we saw that out of the exception zone where we couldn't scan, some sort of odd thing had been jettisoned out of the zone. We have recovered it and are doing experimentations on it, trust you me. Quite odd, in fact. I do think that it is some sort of repurposed amalgamation of the internal logistics support infrastructure in the platform. I don't know how it's been weaponized and turned against us, but while he's talking, Nosla actually reaches out and puts her hand on their shoulder, and you see Doc quiet down, but still there's some excitement in their eye, and Nosla goes, we don't need to talk about this right now.
I'm mostly just saying that I am more interested in how we collectively can profit off of each other more than I am interested in your baseless accusations on us.
Grime hasn't given up. He, kind of interrupts. You can see that someone else, one of the other counselors, is going to talk, and he goes, come on, guys, we need to give this at least a little bit of time. Let's do some evidence work. Let's look at their stuff. We need to detain them, at least, right? Take a look at them for a little bit. Put some scrutiny on this before we say everything's A-okay.
I agree with him, to an extent.
He, looks caught off guard by that.
We're suspicious. Right?
Nosla will say, I would say so.
Well, if you believe us enough, you could use that to your advantage. We could be suspicious enough that the rebels might reach out to us. We could work with them to an extent, give you information, tell you about them, find them.
Nosla, the other council members don't really know how to take this, but Nosla specifically, leans back in her chair and thinks and goes, this room's not being recorded, is that right? Effic goes, no, we have all the recorders turned off. Guards are outside the room, this should be a safe box. Good. The rest of this conversation shall not leave this room. The other council members, look confused. Nosla leans forward and goes, we have a problem. She's addressing the other counselors at this point. These rebels have caused us a lot of issues, and we've not had a good way in. We've tramped down on them, we've blown up a few of their cells, but still, they seem to keep coming up with resources every time we think we've taken them away, and I want to know how. Effic goes, okay, sure, that makes sense, but what are you proposing? Nosla looks at you two and goes, I'm not going to lie. We expected you to have some information for us when we brought you in here. In fact, we don't 100% think that you're at fault. In fact, I'm more and more thinking that you might be the key to my success. We are impressed with your work, all told. You've done an admirable job. Grime is looking like he's hearing this and is getting like I'm out of the loop. Why has no one talked to me about this? That's all playing across his face.
Yeah.
He came and sat down here for this meeting and had no briefing beforehand is what you're getting from this. Because the rest of the council members don't seem caught off guard by what she's saying, just interested in what she's going to say next. She goes, honestly, as long as you proved trustworthy enough that we weren't completely positive that you were guilty, hell, even if you killed a few people, but it was simply out of self-interest, we were planning on hiring you.
I'll say, oh, I thought you hired the top 3 already.
No, we hired the top 2. Uncanny Ravine and Shareseer are already under our umbrella. They were unquestionably the top performers after Dire Scholars were killed. So that just leaves your team in question. The other teams haven't impressed us enough, and we let them all go. We were just determining whether or not to bring you into the fold.
I'm going to assume that the fact that we're having this conversation means that good things?
Nosla will nod and go, assembled council members, I think we're being presented an opportunity here. They've been brought in for, as far as anyone outside this room knows, either a disciplinary hearing or a murder investigation. No one knows what's happening here right now. This gives us leverage. She turns back to you two. How would you feel about making contact with these rebels for us?
How would this appear on the outside? Would you say we were disqualified?
We still want to, perhaps officially, perhaps unofficially, hire you. But I think that either we should disqualify your entire team and get you in touch with the rebels, or find one of your member guilty of murder and malfeasance. We have some lockups available where we could conveniently put you in cells near and adjacent to some known rebel sympathizers. Get you in with them.
I would say we'd be amenable to that idea, but we would need some sort of reassurances that you're not going to leave us out to dry. After all, publicly, this will affect our reputation as a mercenary.
Then how about publicly we clear your mercenary group and throw one of you to the wolves? We'll hire your team as exemplary members, and one of you can be found guilty and our little scapegoat who can angrily run off to the rebels to get revenge on us for their unfair treatment.
I'm going to look at Astro and go, I'll do it. It makes sense. I was the one that called them. I came into the briefing. We could even say that you and I were only called in together and that I was found guilty here. You can go back to the ship and work what you need to there.
In fact, the people we called here today were our guilty party and his commanding officer. Optics-wise, this all works perfectly. I can doctor anything that was said in this hearing. We know that you guys reached out to the Dire Scholars. In fact, you volunteered that you are the one who's been in contact with them. It would not be hard to show you as a dissident who's worked their way onto the teams to try and get close to us.
I'll say, Steve, you don't have to do this. This would be something that's on your permanent record.
Look, you're not going to fire me after this, are you?
No, of course not.
Well, then I've got a team I can come back to later.
I'll turn to the council and I'll say, we'll have to maintain contact with Steve while he's imprisoned.
Nosla will say, I can make arrangements, but we have to do this under strictest secrecy. We can't risk the rebels finding out their new ally is actually working for us.
My wife is on the ship. I mean, surely you would let, significant others visit in jail?
We're not that cold, of course.
I think this would be, long as Little Bird is okay with this, I think this would be an acceptable arrangement.
Grime leans back like he's just kind of doesn't know what to say anymore. He's just letting this happen now. He seems a little annoyed. Ethic will, at this point, say, well, if we're hiring them on, then I want them. If they're going to be gathering information on the rebel group, they're the ones who are interfering with my logistics. They're the ones who are stopping my shipments. They're the ones who are causing all of my problems. And the reason I called for you all to get us people to work for us in the first place. The rest of the murder of crows, I want under my payroll.
Oh, feign surprise, and I'll say, Efik, I thought you're more of a play-it-by-the-book kind of person. Didn't expect you'd be okay with this.
The rest of the three of you are going to be playing it by the book, and I'm going to work you, and I'm going to have you defend my shipments, and I'm going to make sure you earn your keep. But if there's going to be info coming in about what's happening to my shipments, I want it to come through me. She looks firmly at Nosla, and Nosla looks back at her, and you can tell she's kind of like waffling on this a little bit. At this point, you get Opie lean and go, Nosla, listen, we know you all like playing the cloak and daggers, and this is a great idea. Let Efik have this one. She's the one who wanted to hire outside contractors in the first place. You can still come up with all the ideas. We're not stopping our meetings. Nosla nods and goes, Fine. I can make use of the uncanny ravine anyway. They all look back at you, and Efik goes, All right, Murder of Crows, you have your contract. Astro, or she calls you Xander. Xander?
Yeah. Who's Astro?
Yeah. Xander, you're free to go back to your ship. Make sure your communications secure and only tell those amongst your crew who you can trust with your life. Because it may be Steve's life if you fuck this up.
Understood.
Steve, remain here for a moment. We'll discuss arrangements for you.
I don't say anything, but just kind of nod a little.
Will we see Steve again on our ship?
Nosla shakes her head and is like, No, not yet, I don't. If we are convicting him of murder, then we need to keep an eye on him.
Couldn't you just give him some time to see his wife and talk to the rest of the crew?
Boss, we need to keep this convincing. I think staying here, and it wouldn't make sense for them to let me go back beforehand. I'll be all right.
You sure about this?
Yeah. It gets us out of trouble. It gets us the contract. I don't plan on being there forever. I look up at them like, when this is done, I assume I'll be released, so.
Nosla smiles and goes, Trust us. We'll need you mobile in order to meet the people we want you to meet.
I would at least like an opportunity to speak to Steve before he gets sent away on his mission.
Opie says, Yeah, actually, that makes sense. We all need to have a bit of a private council ourselves. He looks meaningfully at Grime. We're all going to meet in a nearby room. We'll leave the two of you in here. All recordings in this room are off. You'll have privacy. There are 24 guards outside. So if you're lying to us, don't try anything funny. He smiles a little bit at you.
Wouldn't dream of it.
We'll be back. We're going to take a small recess. We'll be back in 20 minutes. With that, the council members stand up and start to leave. Losamar stands up to leave with them. The last person out of the room is Grime. And as he passes the two of you, as the others leave, he just leans down to the two of you and goes, Hey, no hard feelings, right? And he places a card down on the table between the two of you and then leaves.
Business is business, I guess.
Yeah.
You look down. It is not a business card.
I'll pick it up and turn it over.
It is a tarot card of the Magician. It is altered to depict the Magician on a normal standard tarot deck to look like the Suicide King in a standard deck of cards. The hand of the Magician, holding a long blade, it seems to be stabbing itself with, and there's a stylized heart in the corner of the card.
Asher just places a hand on his forehead and says, "I don't know what this means. This is all getting too complicated. I'm not good at all this cloak and dagger stuff."
Look, we'll get through it. It'll be all right. I mean, this is the best thing, right? This gets us out of the limelight. It gets you guys out and safe. I'll be okay. Just let Jessica know what's going on. If you want to tell the others, that's up to you. But
I'll get in real close and whisper to him, very softly. I'll say, if Grime is actually working with the rebels, maybe we want to get him on our side?
I don't think that guy's trustworthy as far as we can throw him.
I think you're right. Probably the only reason he's working is because he's been, money, or he's been blackmailed.
The council member that we're here working under was Ethic, right? Is her name?
Yeah, Ethic is the person who actually is working with you guys. Because she is an ally of
Ren. Yeah.
So they are both part of the group that they're pulling Astro into.
Yeah. I would say that he feels above our pay grade. Just let Ethic take care of it. If she thinks he's working with the rebels, she'll do what she thinks is right on that account, I think, right? As far as what's going on here with the rebels, there's some things going on with them. Their technology is beyond. Our sensors couldn't even pick them up. They were just blipping around the map. Like, we gotta figure out what's going on with that.
And you, my friend, have to pull off a difficult balancing act. You're essentially a triple agent in all of this. You need to satisfy our benefactors without implicating or disabling the rebels too much.
We need information. I'm good at getting information. I'll get what I can, and if you can get anything to me from Jessica, any orders or things you need to have done, I'll do them. But in the meantime, if I can get in with those rebels, I might not talk to you guys for a while. I'll do what I think is best in the meantime, but if that means throwing some rebels under the bus, I'm gonna do what I need to do sometimes.
You still sure you want to do this? We could just fly out of here, make an escape, leave us all behind.
Do you want to do that?
I don't personally, but I'd rather safeguard our crew. And if this is something you feel like you're being forced into, I just want you to know you do have a choice.
Nah, I'm not gonna let you off easy. You're the captain. Make the order. Do what you think is best for the mission.
I won't make an order if you're not fully willing to follow through with it. That's all I need to know.
I'm here.
All right, then. Let's do this, I guess.
All right.
After a little while, the council members come back into the room.
By the way, I'll stash that tarot card.
Yeah, totally.
Into my pocket.
Yeah. The council members come back into the room. They take their seats. Grime looks visibly embarrassed in the way that someone who just got a firm talking to often looks embarrassed.
You got called to the principal's office.
Yeah, he looks like he is like unhappy to be here and maybe a little bit sulking. He looks like he's sulking. The rest of the council members come back in, take their seats, and Effic says to Xander, Xander, you're to report back to your ship. Go ahead and get the repairs and rest you need. I know that the unexpected fight that you all took part in probably took its toll. I will be in contact shortly, and you will be working with me directly for the duration of your contract. Do you understand?
I understand. I look forward to working with you.
I as well. Let's hope your expertise you've shown off in the other trials can be relied upon.
We won't disappoint.
You may go.
All right, and I'll just place a hand on Steve's shoulder, give him a nod, and then I'll walk out.
After Astro leaves, the door closes, and even though you know you've agreed to what's going on here, Steve, it is a little bit disconcerting that a room full of authorities is all now focused solely on you. No longer is Astro here to take any of the attention away. Nosla leans forward. Well, you volunteered yourself for a rather exciting mission. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Good. We have some holding cells where we're keeping some rebels for charges that we can't make stick, if you understand our meaning. We know that they're implicated in bigger things, but legally, we will have to let them go. Some sooner, some later. These are the people we are going to house you with, for now. It will give you time to meet them, talk with them, and as they trickle out of the detention facility, hopefully, that will get you some contacts for once we release you. On the books, you will have been discharged from the murder of crows for unbecoming conduct. You will be charged for conspiracy and placed in this holding cell. And we will make sure you have unsupervised time where you can make friends with your cellmates.
Okay. Is there anything that you were holding back on that we were talking about earlier? Do you know for sure what happened to the Dire Scholars? Was it the rebels, or could it have been one of the other mercenary groups? I don't want to stand there with my foot in my mouth if I'm coming up with a story to make myself look better here.
It could have been one of the other groups. It could have been the rebels. We fully expected that it could have been you. We just didn't think it was you. So we had to be sure. So no, we cannot say for certain who killed the Dire Scholars. So perhaps claiming responsibility is not wise there. Who knows? You might be put in communion with the people who actually did do it. In fact, that might be one of the things you might want to try and find out. Maybe that branch will lead you somewhere.
Okay. how do I get you all information when I do find things out? Should I funnel it through my crew for now?
You can funnel it through your crew. I will give you some locations we monitor that we don't think the rebels are aware of. You can use them as dead drop locations. Any information you find once you're out of the cells can be left there, and we will have agents come and pick it up as soon as this is possible. Additionally, I will give you a secure channel that you'll be able to contact both me and Efik on. It will be fully encoded, but people will still know you've made a transmission. So, you might want to start thinking of cover stories for why you have such capacities.
All right.
People won't know where you're sending the message, but they will know you're sending coded messages. So you'll want to think of why in case you're ever observed doing so.
I'll be trying to avoid it. No offense, but what I said is true. They have technology that we're not aware of. I don't know what they can and can't get through, but as a last resort, I appreciate it, at least.
Additionally, while you're on the inside, people are frequently taken for additional conversations. Some people call them interrogations. When you are brought back from your interrogations, you will meet with one of my agents. They will know that you are working for me, and you will not be interrogated. But you can use that time to pass along any information you find while on the inside.
Oh, you guys really thought of everything quick, didn't you?
Nosla smiles and goes, I like to have options. So I always leave blank spaces in my plan so it's easy to swerve if I need to.
All right. One last question, I guess. You all seem to work, and I'll kind of look around the table, focusing a little bit harder on Grime when I do, very well together, and I'm not expecting this, but if I do receive different orders from different council members, who am I supposed to listen to here?
Efik will go, that would be me. My logistics program is the reason you are here. Finding out how to stop the rebels from disrupting it is going to be your primary goal. If you obtain any conflicting information, mine is the word that is law.
Giving her the opportunity to do and say that, I look at the others to see if any of them say anything or give the anything away.
Doc and so Doc and Opie seem to just be like agreeable. Like, of course, we agreed to give you these people to work for you. Nosla looks like she's suffering FOMO. She's like, she wanted to be the one in charge of this operation.
Yeah.
Right?
The reason I said what I just said, basically, yeah. I didn't like her planning.
Nosla will say, yes, while you are inside, your primary contact point will be with me, because I'm the one with agents in place. But ultimately, it will be Efik who is commanding you, and the entire Murder of Crows. Once we have obtained what we can from your excursion with the rebels, we hope to eventually fold you back in with your compatriots, and then, well, you'll do as you do.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah.
Well, let's get you acquainted with your new accommodations. Is there anything else you want to ask before we take you away?
I don't... No, there's nothing else.
All right. She presses a button that's in front of her on the table near her screen and control panel that you imagine she was watching like earlier trials with. And 7 armed guards walk into the door. They fan out on either side. And then
you can't
the one
be
in the
fucking
center,
serious, I'll say.
The one in the middle says,
I didn't do it.
Listen, kid, you're coming with us. I'd quiet down if you don't want to get a rifle butt to the back of the fucking head. And he very roughly grabs you by the back of your shirt and like lifts you to standing out of your chair.
You're all fucking assholes.
And you struggle as they fall in around you and you are led out into the hallway where they were not joking, the rest of 24 people armed are outside the room. These 7 are the ones tasked with taking you to the detention center. As they kind of push you past the other guards, like you can see that the head of one of the 2 groups like looks in to check on the counselors to make sure they're all right. 2 of the guards go in to stand with the counselors, and you are dragged away out of the executive area of this facility, and you are going to be taken to what is termed, you can tell just by reading a few signs on your way there, short-term detainment. And for now, we're going to let Steve go do that.
Bye, Steve.
If it makes you guys,
feel stuff.
Yeah, right. If it makes you guys feel any better out of character, I'm having trouble realizing or remembering who I am and am not working for at this point.
I was just thinking that, like,
Well,
boy, you have a complicated web of loyalties right now.
We'll send you a corkboard and some string, and you can sort of try to piece this all together.
Nah, leaves a trail. Can't do that.
what if someone sees the corkboard? Let's follow the DBC as Astro makes it back. Astro, you get back to the DBC after being discharged from the meeting. As far as you're aware, the Murder of Crows has been hired by Ethic. The thing you wanted has happened. But a lot of other complications have happened as well.
Yes.
You arrive back at the DBC, you see the gangplank down. You can just barely see that Curry is like moving some supplies around in the interior. Where does Astro go first?
All right. Team meeting. Everyone, he hits the closest intercom when he enters the ship. It's like, everyone report to the bridge for a team meeting.
How long was the meeting, by the way, from our perspective?
They were gone for maybe like an hour or more.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure why I said my perspective, but
plus transit to and from, because Astro had to watch the commercial when he got on the tram and then take the tram there.
Should have hacked it to skip, like install an ad blocker so we can skip the commercial.
He hacked it so that it only plays Astro Jamin movies. It only plays Nightman, I'm sorry.
Nightman, the futuristic Batman. All right, so yeah, I'll call everyone for a full, like, all hands. And when everyone gets there,
I mean, Jessica and Curry will definitely be there.
Yep.
I'll show up.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Evelene? Okay,
if I have
good.
to.
You do have to.
Evelyne's like, fuck this.
You don't show up, I'm gonna send Curry to come get you.
I don't wanna.
I'm polishing my mech. Gotta polish every single spike.
That's so much surface area. Don't you understand?
You probably do have the mech with the highest surface area per size.
Yeah.
Your surface area to mass ratio is off the charts.
So, since Astro likes talking in movie cliches, he's going to say, well, I have some good news and I have some bad news. What do you want to hear first?
Neither.
Let's start with the bad.
The bad news. I was actually hoping you'd pick the good news first. The bad news.
And why'd you give us the option? Curry says.
Well, the bad news is
Just do the good news then, if that's going to make more sense.
you'll notice Steve isn't here. He's been taken into custody.
That's the good
Curry
news?
goes, that's the good news?
No, that's the bad news. That's the bad news.
Jessica goes, what are you talking about?
I've lost control of this metaphor.
You said do the bad news first. The good news is that we got the contract with Epic. But it's complicated.
Is the complicated part the good news or the bad news?
Jessica goes, where's Steve?
So
What? Just start from the beginning, Astro.
yes. Okay. Would you like me to explain it all in character, or should I just say? I don't know. I'll explain it all in character. So here's what happened. We were called down to the council, and we were under suspicion that we were the cause of this rebel attack. Also, they informed us that the Dire Scholars, remember we tried to contact them, they were found dead, unfortunately. And we were also placed under suspicion for that as well. They saw that we were the last people to try to contact them. And as far as they know, our platform was attacked by rebels and destroyed, and we were left relatively unscathed. So we had to defend ourselves. But Steve brought up that this could be an opportunity for them. If we look suspicious, we could use that as an opportunity to make inroads with the rebels. And to do that, one of us has to be the scapegoat. And Steve volunteered to do that. Under these conditions, we were awarded the contract, and Epic stepped in to take command of it. So we're going to be working directly with Epic as planned, but we're also going to have Steve in custody with other rebels, working as a double agent, feeding information back to the council. Although he's actually going to be a triple agent because, we're working with Epic this whole time. Any questions?
Yeah, where's Steve? Jessica says again.
They took him away to a temporary custody.
So like a detention center or something?
I guess so. Some detention center on the station. Jessica, don't worry, you'll get to see him. But I don't know exactly when.
She just leans back against the wall and looks down.
Why is all this shit happening to us? Like, isn't it kind of weird that we were the ones who were attacked?
Let me ask this, Astro. Was Steve the one who offered to do this job?
He was.
Dyne will just cross his arms and go, we're just going to have to trust in him then. And as for your question, Chimera, actually, wait, Astro, were there any other groups attacked other than us?
Yes.
Okay.
The Dire Scholars platform was also attacked and destroyed, but since they were already killed, the Dire Scholars, since they were already killed, the rebels met with no resistance whatsoever when attacking that platform. Also, they told us that a few other groups had been the Share Seals and the Uncanny Ravine, I think, were sabotaged, but they still were able to perform their trials exceptionally.
Well, why did the guards bail on us then? That's the thing I don't understand. Like,
they were under orders. They were under orders to, if they saw the platform was to be lost, they were under orders to leave and report what was happening.
And just bail on us.
Pretty much. And you have to remember the people that were there already. Most of them were killed in the initial onslaught.
Yeah, just as a reminder, since the battle was a while ago, the only people who left were the people who came midway through the fight as quote-unquote reinforcements.
Gotcha. Okay.
Remember, all the fighters that got scrambled and stuff stayed and fought alongside of you and were destroyed by the claustrosity. The only people who actually abandoned you during the fight were the people who weren't from that platform.
Still
the way the council
guys,
members said is like they have standing orders that if you're reinforcements and it looks like the thing you're going to reinforce is about to be lost, someone has to get a message back to someone who needs that information, is the way they explained it to Astro.
Yeah, that's what I'll explain to you.
All right.
I
guess that makes sense.
I kind of look at Chimera and I'm just like, well, that's interesting. So let's look at it. Us, the Dire Scholars, Share Seal, and Uncanny Ravine. The top 4 were the only ones that were attacked. That tells me that there is definitely someone or a group on this platform that knows way more about what's going on.
Well,
yeah, it can't be a coincidence that it happened to be the top 4.
I think that there may be a mole within the council internally, and I think it's probably Grime. After all, he was trying to lay all the blame on us, and we know he has he has exploitable vulnerabilities to blackmail. So he's probably mixed up in this somehow. And he also left me this, and I pull out the tarot card. He said, no hard feelings, and he gave me this. I don't know what it means.
Now that you've had it for a little while, and you're showing it to your companions, and you're no longer in, like, a distressed state, does anyone want to do a pilot check on this?
I can try. I feel like this might be outside my scope, but I am kind of curious.
Yeah, if it's outside your scope, maybe someone else here has something that they can do here. I just want to know, like, you have this piece of info. What do you do with it?
I could investigate it. But I kind of think of investigate as something you do over a period of time.
It's research and stuff like that.
So it's not like a quick,
I can do a spot check because I have spot. Spot details objects or people that are hidden or difficult to make out.
That works. Yeah.
Does that work?
Something that may not be obvious on the card. Or may not be obvious at first glance.
I was
you
considering
can try
word
it
on the street, but that might be better here.
I like Dyne's suggestion here. Why don't you go ahead and make a spot check, and we'll see if you get any additional information here.
It's like investigate is like a long period of time type of thing.
Yeah, investigate is like running things through databases, cross-referencing stuff.
And I can't do
like
that. Just I'll have to do that later.
That just might be later. Yeah.
13.
Ooh, okay.
That's pretty good.
Here's the thing. You look at this card, Dyne, and you realize you remember something that you hadn't thought about before. you know that you have heard during the big get together where all the people were in one place and stuff. You know, like the meeting you had with all the groups. You had heard other people's call signs. You know that Smiles goes by the Magician in his team.
Oh, the Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. Okay, Smiles, fantastic. I go, isn't Smiles' call sign the Magician?
Oh, that does sound familiar, actually.
That's the thing is, like, none of you knew this because you've never fought them. You've never seen their call sign in battle and things like that. You only know their actual names. So maybe it does. Maybe you've seen it on like a manifest or something and just like pushed it to the back of your mind. But like, it's not like he goes around calling himself the Magician. This is a thing that Dyne just happened to piece together seeing the card. Dyne, you piece together is like somewhere you've seen is like, oh, I've seen people's call signs. Smiles is the Magician when he's in his mech.
His mech's like a giant joker, right?
His mech is a giant joker. Yes.
Okay.
Which I'm surprised he's not just Joker as a call sign.
It's a giant Harlequin mech.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's in league with Uncanny Ravine. I wonder how they're all mixed up in this and what their end goal is. Well, I'm not going to worry about Grime and the Uncanny Ravine. We have enough on our plate. By the way, Jessica, right. Steve says he's okay, and he'll be able to talk with you soon.
Okay. Well, I guess in for a penny and in for a pound. We might as well do the best job we can here if he's out there doing the same.
Won't be permanent. When this operation's over, he'll be returned to us. Just in case I wasn't clear about that.
He better be, or I'm holding you accountable, Astro.
That's fair enough. I promise that we'll get him back, one way or the other.
She smiles a little bit at you and goes, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it will be too. After all, Ethic will be overseeing this. She'll know how to handle this situation from her end.
All right then. Astro, I'm gonna need your help if we're going to give the council the information they asked for. Is your NHP, is it Kubrick?
Yes.
Okay. You've had so many. I keep getting them all mixed up.
Yeah, it was first Hitchcock.
There's a memorial wall somewhere that just has the names all etched in it.
And they're all old ancient directors, you know. I don't have any modern directors like I don't know.
It's in the room where he keeps all of his memorabilia.
Yeah.
His excess memorabilia.
What's funny is those directors are so old, it's almost akin to what Dyne is doing, naming all of his stuff off of ancient Greek things and ancient gods. Is like, your directors are so ancient, you're kind of just drawing on ancient exoteric history as well, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
It just happens to be entertainment related.
I mean, what's the difference between a couple thousand years back then and, however period of time between, contemporary
True.
Earth and this campaign.
It's been thousands of years.
Yeah.
At least 1,000.
It's literally like the birth of cinema too, like because all these directors have been around less than 100 years since like the motion picture was invented. So it's like very, very
And they've had
old.
centuries to build off of that foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need your help if the council wants the data on how Artemis discovered the plot. I'm gonna need you and Kubrick's help to parse this into some sort of report form. It's going to take a while. You remember all of that data?
Yes, I do. I can help with that for sure. It seemed like Doc, what's his name, Doc Grosser, was the most interested.
Oh yeah. They were very interested.
I will give them the data. I'm not giving them like a copy of Artemis. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
I will give them the data the data that led to Artemis's decisions in report form, and that's the extent of it for now.
I'm sure they will be very happy with that.
But yeah, like I said, I just need Kubrick and Astro's help, because otherwise it will take me, 4 times as long.
The good thing is, it seems that we're no longer really under suspicion. In fact, most of this was just a front to see if we could be trusted for this operation. I don't think they're going to seriously investigate us beyond just like for prosperity's sake,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, for now, all we can do is provide them information, prepare for whatever EFIC has for us, and trust in Steve.
Sounds good.
At least the work will keep our minds off of the other problems.
And we'll
As Dyne kind of just walks out of the room.
await further instructions when EFIC gets in contact with us.
Curry just like looks up at the ceiling as he leaves. He's like, how do we keep getting ourselves into this? As he leaves.
Maybe we should ask for a raise, as I'll follow after him.
Well, I'm the one paying your salaries, so
Well, I'm not asking
Astro,
for-
you hear down the hall as Evelene and Curry are walking away together. Curry goes like, "Yeah, let's see if Astro has anything left in the piggy bank for us after this is over."
Down the hall, you hear Dyne, "Give me a raise, Astro."
Jessica looks at you before she leaves and goes, "Just make sure Steve comes home."
I promise.
I'll hold you to that. She smiles genuinely this time and goes, "He's tough. He knows what he's doing. I'm sure if he was on board with this plan, there's a reason."
I trust him, but we're going to have his back 100% the whole way.
All right. Well, I have some work to do. I'll see you in the cockpit if you need me.
Okay. Thanks, Jessica.
Jessica smiles genuinely. Cock's gun.
I've been looking forward to this, Astro.
You have 48 hours.
All right. So those of you who are on the ship, what do you do for the rest of the day?
Well, I'll go ahead and help Dyne out with organizing that data into some sort of report using Kubrick
Okay.
for computing power.
Between Dyne and Astro and Kubrick and Artemis and Castor,
Yeah.
it's still a lot of work. Actually, like, it's surprising to you. Like, you'd think with 3 NHPs that have superhuman like organizing abilities, and the two of you, that you'd be able to like get this stuff figured out, but the organizational structure of how this stuff got set up, the way it worked, reminds you of weird things. There's almost like bits of it that feel like stream of consciousness. Like you're like, okay, if I was sitting down at a filing cabinet or with a file folder on a computer, there are better ways this information could be organized. But that's not how it worked when this stuff happened. It's almost like things made tenuous connections with each other that led to other connections in ways that you would not have put together yourself. But looking at it, you're like, it makes a weird, odd, arcane sort of sense. But it is not how any person would have decided to organize this data.
I'll say to Dyne, I think in the final data package we send over, we should highlight these strange connections that Artemis was making. Almost, it's evidence of a NHP acting very exceptionally, very different from the usual NHP.
Is Artemis present? When Astro says this is what I want to know.
I would say we're probably still in the mechs and like on a comm line. So yes.
Then you will hear Artemis speak up as like, do we have to give them this information on me? I don't feel secure in other people knowing this.
Let's not highlight these connections. Let's keep things as vague as possible.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. It's probably smart not to give more info than what was requested anyway.
It's not like, generally speaking, an employer thinking that an NHP thinks outside of the general range of an NHP is not a good idea. So let's keep things on the down low.
I got excited there, but you're right. We're not exactly friends with them anyway. It's probably not smart to show our hand too much. That said, I did have to sort of explain, because they found it so improbable that an NHP could predict this attack. I had to sort of explain that there is some unusual processing going on.
You can feel Astro Kubrick kind of grating under the difficulty of putting this stuff together.
Yeah.
He keeps making like comments to you like alone in the cockpit as he's like sorting through it about how like, this is not how he would have put this information together. He has a much better way of doing this. He should have been in charge of this. He's like, I should have had direct control over this information. Astro, maybe you should give me more information.
We can discuss that, Kubrick.
He actually does kind of on his own the thing that you would need to do to anonymize those connections. He wants to resort it in a way that makes more logical sense. He's like, I want a single folder that says this and all the things regarding that go into this, right? Like he doesn't want it organized the way that Artemis organized it.
Yeah.
So he's more than willing to redo the organization for you.
I'll say we just in the end want to report the data in the best way to show how Artemis was able to predict the attack.
Oh, I mean, did you inform me that Kubrick wants to reorganize it?
Well, I'm just saying this to Kubrick. I'm like, don't worry about organizing it too much. In the end, it's not the way the data is sorted, it's the data itself, the pertinent data.
All right. Well, after a while, you guys are able to work on that. Evelene, what are you doing this time?
Nothing particularly exciting. I think with the way things have been shaking out, I want to get the mechs up and running as fast as possible in case things change on us.
Totally. So you're kind of taking the lead on making sure all the mechs get serviced.
Yeah. I'm also watching out for any form of sabotage because that seems to be a trend lately.
Okay. Hey, Evelene, make a pilot check.
Okay. What do I have? It's been such a while. I have to actually check what skills I have. Hack or fix? Because I'm fixing the mechs up.
Yeah, totally.
All right. 14.
14. Evelene, as you go through all 4 mechs, you were able to determine that, your mech looks fine, no problems. You go through Steve's mech for him because he won't be back for a little bit. You're like, well, if I don't fix it, no one will. So you start working on that. It's fine, no problems. You start working on I always forget what your mech is named, Dyne.
Prometheus.
You start helping out with the external repairs of the Prometheus while Dyne is busy with the computer systems. You're like, okay, yeah, fine, no problems. You get to Astro's mech, and as you're starting to repair it, you see something odd in one of the legs of the mech and take a closer look. You remove some paneling, and there is a transponder hidden in one of the leg joints of Astro's mech.
Interesting. Does this look like it was recently placed, or like...
You think it has to have been placed since, in the last couple of weeks. This is something that you would have found during any deep cleaning or full replacement of parts that the mech would have needed. So it has to be within this mission that it happened.
Okay. Yeah, can I just remove it safely, or is there a concern about removing it?
You did remove it safely. Your hacker fix succeeded. No problems. You were able to remove it, and it's not plugged in, and nothing else happened.
Can I... Yes, there's a bomb attached to it. No.
That would have made it a dangerous check, and you would have needed over a 20.
Can I figure anything out about
no consequences?
Where this came from or who placed it?
It is a transponder. It transmits the location that it is out to somewhere. Unfortunately, it is a very low-tech thing. Evelene, you could whip one of these up in your shop, in your machine shop. Yeah. Making a transponder that just sends a location, one of the easiest things in the world to do.
So it's like a snail, or?
It's just like... something like a snail. It has 2 big eyes. It looks kind of like Astro for some reason.
Wait, is this one of the video ones, or is it just pure audio?
I don't know. But you look at it, and it's just it's super low tech. The problem is anyone could have made this. You wouldn't need to buy it somewhere. Anyone who has a modicum of information on how to build things could jury rig this.
Gotcha. And there's no way to know who the receiver is, right?
You know it's going out somewhere without seeing the... You imagine now that you've seen this, if you were ever in the future to find the receiver, you could probably be like, this is what was on the other end. But from this side, no, it's just a transmission that goes out. You don't know what it's linked up to.
Is it still running?
It is on until you disconnect it from his mech.
But you said I did. You said I did disconnect it.
Yes, you successfully disconnected it.
Okay. Is it just a power source that keeps it running?
No, it was sapping power from Astro's mech, but it needs so little power to activate that it would have come up as an anomaly.
Okay. I want to reactivate it, but not attach it to the mech. Whoever is using this, I don't want them to know that we found it.
You can You can even, like, if that was your plan with your successful roll, you know how these things work. You could have set up an alternate battery form of power and disconnected it without ever there being a blip of it going off. You could have connected it to the battery and then disconnected it from the mech if you wanted.
Then,
I will let you have that.
Yeah, then my plan is to basically store it somewhere where it still looks like it's coming from the DBC. So like, no, whoever's using this doesn't know that I found it, but it's definitely not on the mech anymore. I will let everyone know that I found it. I don't know if we want to RP that or not.
You probably should.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Astro will have some.
Hey, do you guys want to play a role-playing game of some kind, or do you just want
fair. Let's do that then, because I do have a final thing I want to do, but maybe we can discuss that. I'll ring up Astro on whatever communication thing we've got going on in the ship.
He's in the mech above you.
Yeah,
he's like
you could be like, hey, Astro,
he's
come
like
down
8
here.
feet up. You know?
Hey, Astro, just to let you know, there's a transponder in your leg. You know anything about this?
What?
Yeah, this thing. Get out of the mech.
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
Can you radio up to me?
I'll get out of the mech.
Yeah, you know what this thing is?
Where'd you find that? What is that?
I point at the leg. The leg.
You see one of the legs of your mech is like kind of stripped, for repair work. And it looks like Evelene took like a few extra pieces off. It's like a more thorough, in-depth cleaning than the mech needed. But Evelene like took off some extra housing pieces and stuff like you would do if you were doing a complete reconstruct of the leg. And it's like the leg is open. You can see from here, COMET.
Oh, so the saboteurs actually hit us too.
Yeah.
I wonder who placed this. Could it have been the contest people trying to keep an eye on me? Or could it have been the rebels?
I don't know.
Is that thing still running?
Yeah, I left it running.
Oh, good. Maybe we can send it off somewhere and see if someone tries to track it down.
Yeah. Well, what I want to do first is, one, I want to check. I will do a double check on the other mechs to make sure they don't have these things in them. And two, I want to see. There's got to be some security cam footage or something that suggests that it was taken or added.
Well, it's probably added when it was in the hangar on the station.
Sure, but they got security cameras, right?
Wow.
We have security cameras.
We don't have. I don't think my cameras are aimed towards the legs like that. And then if I want to access their footage, I have to hack into their system. I could do that, but I wonder if it's worth the risk right now.
At this point, Dyne would come down, having heard the conversation. He's like, "What's going on?"
Transponder leg, trying to figure out what's going on with it.
Someone put something inside of your mech.
Yeah, someone put something on my mech. This transponder.
Actually, don't you have isn't your NHP always in your mech?
Yes, but it's not always activated.
I was gonna say, can you just ask them?
Kubrick probably would have been in sleep mode when this happened. I'll ask him anyway.
Yeah,
but I imagine he would have reported this already.
Well, thinking on it, we always had someone standing guard over the mechs. There was never a point that one of our crew wasn't there.
That's true.
The only time that it could have happened would have been when the mechs were inspected right before this recent test.
Oh, you mean
right?
maybe when we were doing the Nerf gunification of our mechs?
Yeah, because my mech was the only one that didn't go. I just gave them the relevant data.
Yeah.
The only three mechs
the rest of your mechs went through CERT.
Yeah. So, check Steve's mech. Did you already check your own?
I was going to do... Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back and double check Evelene, but you did check all 4 mechs.
Okay. So maybe they only attached it to your mech because of ease and quick access. Because I look over at Evelyne's mech. I don't think anyone's taken a panel off of that without anyone noticing.
Yeah.
I would like someone who has some good skill trigger for like how mechs work to make me a pilot check.
I have engineering.
That seems solid.
Yeah, give me your engineering roll, Orion.
You know, it's weird I don't have an engineering role. I feel like I should.
18.
Okay. Dyne, you realize that all of your mechs were taken in for a similar process, like a similar search process. All took similar amounts of time. What you think about when looking at the rest of your mechs is, Orion, your mech, incredibly complex, but they didn't even touch it, right?
Yeah.
You know that Evelene's mech, up close and personal, lots of spikes, kind of like a jury-rigged thing she built herself in a lot of ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that KESTRAL's mech, it came that way, you don't really know a whole lot about KESTRAL's mech, but it seems like, it's purpose-built for what KESTRAL does. COMET's mech, more than anyone else's mech, one, doesn't have a lot of weapons. Has mostly computer systems. And two, uses a lot of stock parts. So if someone needed intimate knowledge of where to hide something in a mech, COMET's would be the easiest to hide something inside of, because it uses a lot of military mechs use these things. And they're just generally sourced.
Okay. All right. Astro. I don't know if Kubrick will find anything, but he looks at the device. This device is not going to drain any normal amount of power other than maybe a blip. It's not going to be noticeable. But see if Kubrick can find traces of an anomaly dating back to the time of the certification.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to find anything because it's going to be so minor.
Yeah. They probably knew I had an NHP aboard, so they probably planned for that.
The fact that Kubrick isn't always active was an advantage to them, but they may not have known that.
I'll get back up into the mech and I'll say, Kubrick, a transponder was found on the mech. Did you detect any power anomalies during the certification process?
After we powered back on post-certification, some of the energy values were slightly askance from the way they were before. But they did change how some of our systems work, and we did have to program in changes to how your hacking would work so that it wouldn't cause actual damage to our opponents during the training exercise. So we were expecting a change in power output based on those things. I can run a deeper diagnostic to determine if the power change was within expected parameters.
Yeah, why don't we do that just to be sure, but I'm guessing it probably was. And perhaps the person that put the transponder on was aware of that.
After a very short amount of time, it doesn't take long to compare a couple of sheets of data together. Yeah. Kubrick goes, yes, there were energy fluctuations, but they were within expected variance. Whatever it was must have needed very small phantom amounts of power to keep it within range. But yes, there is a fluctuation I detect.
That seems like that's it then. Ruse, that's our best bet. Best guess.
It probably is it. Like Kubrick said, power variance is to be expected. So that
especially
would be
after making changes to your mech that you have never done before.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be the perfect time to attach it anyway, because you can hide that anomaly within the expected power variances.
So maybe for now we just run this past Ethic. We can find out when we have our actual meeting with her. We should find out who were the exact people who worked on her mech. That might be a lead for them.
And I wonder for what reason are they putting a transponder? I'm not expected to go anywhere that I shouldn't be in this mech.
Well, that's quite simple. They wanted to know when we were out on the platform.
It seems very likely, and just going on a hunch here, that they were timing these attacks to when the missions were happening. So if they saw that our mechs were moving to the platform, that might have been the
I see. If
go ahead
it was
attack.
Indeed the rebels that placed it.
I didn't say it was the rebels. I just said that someone placed it here to coordinate the attack, which I guess could be the rebels, but I'm leaving it open-ended.
Well, someone who are the rebels or working with the rebels.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not necessarily the rebels themselves.
All right. Well, just keep it activated, Evelene, and we'll figure out what to do with it later. Perhaps.
Well, I mean, we could remove it and maybe just tag on a power source so that
that's what I did.
Okay. You've already done that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm literally holding it in front of you.
I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, what I'll do is I'll just point to a random crate. I'm gonna put it in that crate over there. I'm gonna lock it up with a key that only I don't know, with a code that only the three of us know. And let's see what Ethic has to say.
Part
worst
of me
comes
just
to worst,
wants.
We can just.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, worst comes to worst, we can just put it on the just outside of the ship. I don't know how accurate this transponder is. Probably not very.
Just to give you a sense of scale, it's not incredibly big, but you do need something the size of a car battery to power it.
Yeah.
For the amount of power that a mech uses, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But you do need maybe a little rolling table or something like that to set to otherwise you're holding a big car battery in one hand and the transponder in the other. You know what I mean? It's not like it'll fit in your pocket easily. It's not that small.
Yeah. Well, what if we had an arc reactor? That worked. Tony Stark.
Well, are you Tony Stark, Evelene?
Maybe. You can't prove it.
He did it in a cave with a box of scraps.
Well, it's the DBC with a box of scraps. Same deal.
Whoa, you
get back to me
your
when
mouth
you get an arc reactor.
We're talking about the DBC.
Look, Iron Man suits exist. Look at Steve's mech.
I'll say part of me wants to just jettison it out into space and see what happens. Maybe someone will try to intercept it.
I would rather save the card to when we really could use it. Maybe we have a new mission coming up and we go in the opposite direction and gets jettisoned. That seems like a good time to use it rather than just arbitrarily sending it out.
Yeah, I'd say keep it on the ship for while we are on the station, and once we are ready to leave, we can jettison it to maybe think that we're still on the station or use it at a more opportune time. But while we're on the station, them knowing us that we are, in the bay is not going to provide them any more or less information.
Actually, better yet, if we left it on the ship and then went on our mission, then they wouldn't know that we're on a mission.
Where are we going to go with just our mechs?
I don't know. I'm just saying I'm sure we're going to get a job at one point in time.
Which we'll need to bring the DBC.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, most likely, but we'll cross
figure it
that
out.
bridge when we come to it, I guess.
We could leave it on the hangar, too. We could take it off DBC at that point. But yeah, let's talk with Ethic first.
All right, sounds good. Good find, Evelene.
What was the other thing you were going to do, Evelene?
Oh, that was it. Was basically I was going to review records to figure out when it was placed. We worked that out already.
Oh, okay. I remember you saying you were going to do something else. So I was making sure we didn't forget that.
Oh no, thank you. I didn't bring it up because we already addressed it. But yeah, I'll just keep servicing, keep on looking for more transponders, even though in all likelihood this was the one.
Yeah, with that check, I think you found it all. So it's just you're just gonna be doing your due diligence.
All right. Well, with a few leads to go on, and Steve locked up, and Astro and the Murder of Crows, or Xander and the Murder of Crows, or Xander and the DBC. I don't know who the fuck you all are. We'll see what you losers are doing next time, and I'm excited to see the way this plays out. So we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.